The hair is literally glued. I'm not sure if you can see it. Folks, this isn't bread. This resembles something like a sponge. However, it resembles plastic. What if you are gradually becoming poisoned by the foods you trust the most? It's the everyday Walmart staples you feed your family without giving them a second thought, not some exotic foreign delicacy or dangerous street food. Almost half of all hospitalizations are among seniors, and more than 1 in 6 Americans will consume tainted or chemically compromised food this year, according to the CDC's 2025 mid-year foodborne illness report. Even worse, several Walmart private label items were included in Class 1 recalls, the most hazardous category associated with E, according to an FDA enforcement update from June 2025. Outbreaks of salmonella, listeria, and E. coli. How much of our health have we already given up for a low price tag if the meals we trusted are unsafe or compromised? More significantly, how many of these unseen threats are now present in your kitchen? The truth becomes personal in this devastating story. 10 common Walmart foods that are gradually destroying your health are revealed today. Let's get started. 1. Frozen cooked shrimp at a great price. Sometimes you feel like you're getting something for free. Like when your neighbor boasts that he got a good bargain on a loudly rattling car, but he insists it's okay because it was inexpensive. That same false comfort was provided by Walmart's great value frozen cooked shrimp. The white and blue box appeared as sincere as a handshake. The phrases premium quality, responsibly sourced, and ready to eat suggested that we were astute consumers. It was almost like beating the system, and it felt amazing. It was almost as if you had entered a more upscale world for a brief while. However, deals like this typically have a catch that nobody notices until it's too late. The delusion ended in March 2025 when testing conducted by the Environmental Working Group in Consumer Reports revealed that the shrimp had 3 times the permissible levels of malachite green and nitrofurans in the United States. Furthermore, malachite green is more than just an odd scientific moniker. It has been prohibited in Europe for over 20 years due to its proven carcinogenic properties. Imagine putting a tiny bit of paint thinner on your food and telling yourself it won't hurt because it was cheap. That's the closest this high-end quality gets to being authentic. Even worse were the leaked audits that revealed what goes on before these shrimp end up in your freezer, as published by Reuters in April of that year. Workers on Walmart-supplied farms in Vietnam and Thailand were forced to wait waist-deep in ponds drenched with chemicals for 12-hour shifts, suffering from coughing fits and skin burns. To put it plainly, they are more concerned with keeping the shrimp pink than with keeping us alive. Nevertheless, Walmart printed ethically sourced on each bag, which is akin to adorning a damaged gift with a glittering bow. Then, in February 2025, NBC's undercover team made matters worse. Some authorized farms were dumping leftover chemicals, bacteria, and untreated wastewater back into the same ponds. Your shrimp, which you proudly served to your family, fattened up in that stew. These risks are not remote for elderly Americans. In already vulnerable bodies, digestive issues, allergic reactions, and liver damage are landmines waiting to detonate. To make matters worse, Walmart concealed behind secret agreements and refused to identify the farmers at fault. After a rat infestation, would you trust a restaurant that wouldn't disclose which kitchen prepared your food? What makes this different? However, it's possible that Walmart isn't the villain who is amusingly twitching its mustache. In the fierce competition for consumers, the fish sector offers inexpensive costs, but at a cost that someone must bear. Workers suffer, the environment is contaminated, and our health is neglected. Perhaps Walmart is forced to follow the guidelines established by a system that incentivizes taking shortcuts. Does that, however, make it acceptable to market toxins to families who trust the label? You can find better options if you search. The Fremont brand from Aldi passed rigorous third-party testing. The wild-caught Argentinian red shrimp from Trader Joe's is both safer and more delicious. Even wild Alaskan pink salmon in a can is a cheap and healthy method to receive omega-3s without the added chemicals. Shrimp can be cleaned of some surface pollutants by soaking them in lemon juice and baking soda for 20 minutes, but let's face it, corporate greed won't be eliminated. However, the more important question remains, doesn't it? What else have we been covertly exchanging our health for if even a basic bag of shrimp conceals danger thus deeply? And this is perhaps the most depressing thought. Are we too worn out and overburdened to expect better? Number 2. American cheese slices at a great price. What if that brilliant yellow square you proudly placed on top of your greasy burger and side fries was the true threat at your dinner table? Of all things, cheese is meant to be safe, even reassuring. It's the quick route to contentment, the recipe that creates a fond memory out of a simple sandwich. Marketed as creamy perfection and a flavor of home, Walmart's affordable sliced American cheese has long served that comforting function. It seemed like the same straightforward deliciousness at a cost that anyone could afford to older Americans who grew up watching dairy advertising featuring contented animals and verdant pastures. But when you take off that happy exterior, you'll discover that it's not cheese at all. The business sleight of hand is neatly packaged. In a damning report released in April 2025, the Center for Food Safety accused Walmart and other large retailers of mislabeling processed cheese goods. Among the worst offenders was Great Value. According to laboratory tests, only 42% of it was real dairy. The remainder consisted of a combination of modified starches, hydrogenated vegetable oils, and titanium dioxide, a whitening chemical that has been prohibited in the EU since 2022 due to its potential to cause cancer. Further investigation by consumers revealed that some batches had 2.5 times the amount of titanium dioxide recommended by the FDA. Take a moment to process that. It's possible that every grilled cheese sandwich is more like biting on melted plastic than healthy dairy. It doesn't give you much more confidence the way it's made. Vice News published whistleblower video from a Wisconsin cheese factory that Walmart contracted with in March. Workers were observed using damaged buckets covered with ancient residue to carry thick, rubbery cheese stuff out of industrial mixers. One employee chuckled and remarked, "This stuff could be used to patch a wall." Later, the plant received a citation from the FDA for sanitary infractions, such as chemical cross-contamination and mold in mixing vats. The next time you see a piece melt into your burger, think of that. A scientific experiment masquerading as food could be hiding beneath that sticky texture. No ingredient list can compare to the human cost. Human Rights Watch discovered labor violations on mega dairies that supply Walmart's processing facilities in February 2025. Employees reported bodily harm from pushing over-milked cows into production cycles that exceeded their natural limits, 12-hour stints without enough breaks, and hands burned by caustic cleaning solutions. One weary employee said that we cried just as much as those cows. That is the sobering truth concealed within a product marketed as a kitchen essential for all Americans. However, it's possible that Walmart isn't plotting to poison someone while seated in a boardroom. Because it is foreseeable, the reality is more repulsive. Big box retailers strive to maintain cheese prices as low as possible in response to American demand for inexpensive cheese. Something has to give in that kind of conflict, and all too frequently it's basic ethics, safety, and quality. Perhaps the executives aren't bad guys. They are players caught in a system that penalizes anyone who dares to slow down for integrity and favors taking shortcuts. Does that make it acceptable? However, it does give the impression that we all contributed to writing this monstrosity. There are alternative options if that piece of manufactured yellow is making you reconsider your next sandwich. Made from genuine milk, Cabot Creamery's Vermont cheddar slices are frequently sold at Hannaford and Meijer. Often found in bulk at Costco, Tillamook's farm-style slices are free of artificial ingredients. If money is tight, you can avoid the chemical cocktail that's hidden in those plastic-wrapped squares and save money by purchasing a block of cheddar or Colby and chopping it yourself. With free slices in between wax paper sheets, you may enjoy convenience without sacrificing quality. However, this is the idea that remains long after the sandwich has been consumed. Given that our comfort foods are based on suffering and shortcuts, what does it say about our future direction when something as commonplace as cheese becomes a moral and health risk? How much of our humanity, and perhaps even our trust, are we covertly giving up in order to save a few bucks? It shouldn't feel risky to open a can of green beans, should it? It is said to be the safest item available. Simple, dependable. It's almost like a small vintage handshake. Because really, what could go wrong with beans? You throw it in your cart without even thinking. Walmart capitalized on that trust with their affordable canned green beans, offering not only vegetables, but also the comforting experience of home cooking under a low-cost green label. It was a minor victory for older Americans who were stretching every shopping dollar, a fallback in times of need, like cash in the coffee can beneath the bed. However, it feels more like betrayal than a broken promise from an old friend when the warm nostalgia breaks. That became evident in January 2025 when the USDA issued a full-fledged alert. These same cans were linked to over 100 cases of serious gastrointestinal disease. Additionally, consumer reports by February verified the presence of Clostridium botulinum spores, the kind of poison you wouldn't find in your grandmother's casserole, but rather in spy novels. Food poisoning is not the only form of botulism. It has the ability to shut down organs before you even realize it has happened. A grandma in Colorado who ended up in critical care told ABC News, "That one sentence shattered whatever budget-friendly goodness Walmart promised," while crying. Furthermore, there were other issues than the beans themselves. In the factory, the actual risk increased. Walmart's processing facility in Arkansas had malfunctioning sterilizing equipment, according to FDA inspection reports from March, apparatus that had been uncalibrated for several months. Due of the high demand around the holidays, supervisors encouraged employees to ignore alarms and continue transporting the cans rather than stopping production. Imagine that, a former worker sarcastically told the Washington Post. It all came down to a prayer that nobody should have to say. However, the story was already tarnished before the cans even made it to that factory. Water and food. According to Watch, paraquat, a hazardous herbicide that has been outlawed in numerous nations because to its associations with Parkinson's disease, was being used by Walmart's Mexican suppliers. In the fields, workers reported fainting, coughing fits, and rashes. Imagine this then. Your hands may have been shaking from exposure to chemicals when they first touched the nutritious veggies on your table. Walmart, however, promotes these beans as a family-friendly option. Selling a rusted lawnmower as golf course ready is equivalent to that. However, it's possible that Walmart isn't secretly twirling a villain's mustache. The reality is more depressing and ugly. Under constant pressure, executives are crushed. Insists on maintaining low costs for those who have limited resources. The employees who disregarded the alarms weren't monsters. They were terrified individuals attempting to cling to jobs that they might lose at any moment. Perhaps this goes beyond simple avarice. Perhaps the system penalizes anyone who takes their time to complete tasks correctly. Tell that to the woman who is hooked up to an IV in Colorado. Walmart's wounds are not healed by sympathy. Although they're slightly more expensive, you do have superior options. Del Monte's organic canned beans are frequently on sale at Kroger and pass independent quality standards. Flash frozen immediately after harvest, Bird's Eye frozen vegetables retain more nutrients and less chemicals. Additionally, if you have the time, purchase in-season fresh beans and blanch them for freezing. At least you know what's in your food, and it's not as difficult as it seems. When cans cannot be avoided, even a brief soak in vinegar water and canned beans can help minimize some pesticide residue. But are we tacitly endorsing the continuation of this system each time we grab the cheapest can? What does it say about the way we all live today if every dollar saved forces employees to take shortcuts and jeopardize our health? Perhaps Walmart isn't the only one who has failed. Perhaps we're all helping with a silent tragedy, each inexpensive can at a time. Great value chicken nuggets come in at number 4. It shouldn't feel like a ticking time bomb to consume chicken nuggets, but Walmart's great value nuggets have become just that. They are marketed as the ideal fast supper. Golden, crispy, inexpensive, and reassuring, like a cozy pat on the back after a demanding day. Throwing them in the oven seems like showing love without going over budget, whether parents are counting every dime or grandparents are watching their children. However, what if that love is just a tasty cover for something harmful? The Center for Foodborne Illness, Research and Prevention's testing results, which were published by The Guardian US in May 2025, showed that 28% of Walmart's nuggets contained salmonella, some of which were resistant to antibiotics. The CDC connected these items to 43 hospitalizations in 6 states, including 3 cases of serious bloodstream infections. According to a granddad from Iowa, I felt it was a pleasure. I found myself praying in a medical facility. It's a worse production story. In March, undercover footage from ProPublica revealed sick, injured birds being handled, some of them covered in feces and wounds. Workers who handled scalding machines without the required equipment reported burns and amputations. People wouldn't feed these nuggets to their dogs if they understood how they were made, one person joked bitterly. Later, the FDA verified a number of hygienic infractions, including cross-contamination from raw poultry. Trust is betrayed even by the components. According to consumer studies, substances linked to hyperactivity and cancer risks included artificial taste enhancers, sodium aluminum phosphate, and TBHQ. Although TBHQ was outlawed in Europe years ago, it is still used to coat certain bites that are acceptable to families. Indeed, Walmart has intense pressure to maintain low prices for food for families that cannot afford more, and its employees are also affected. But does that justify serving chicken tainted with bacteria and chemicals? There are better possibilities. Purdue, Aldi's Applegate Naturals, and Simply Smart Organics are safer. Or prepare your own nuggets. Breadcrumbs, air-fried fresh chicken, and frozen for easy meals. Because what else are we covertly exchanging our health for if even nuggets conceal this much danger? Fifth, Marketside fresh spinach. Spinach is meant to be the safe option, the tasty food that gives you a sense of accomplishment. Walmart's Marketside fresh spinach effectively conveys the image. The labels promise triple washed and farm fresh, and the glass bags display pristine green leaves. It seems like an easy win for elderly Americans who are attempting to eat healthy. Lunch would be a salad. Supper will be sautéed greens and perhaps a glimmer of strength. But this virtue-filled bag? It conceals something far more sinister. The FDA and CDC connected a multi-state E. coli outbreak in February 2025, O157H7 and E. coli epidemic in Marketside spinach. 3 individuals died and 79 were hospitalized in 5 states. It's not a case of minor food poisoning. This strain has the potential to cause renal failure, particularly in elderly people. As one retiree from Arizona told CBS, I believed I was preparing a nutritious salad. I was hooked up to IVs a week later. How it happened is the true scandal. The spinach was irrigated with runoff tainted by neighboring cattle operations, according to food safety reports. In essence, sewage tainted with bacteria was used to irrigate crops. According to stolen logistical documents, Walmart had been notified months before, but chose to stick with those farms because of the volume and cost benefits. Empty shelves look worse than bad headlines, one insider said. Imagine doing that kind of life versus profit calculations. The triple-washed claim also collapsed. Marketside spinach had higher bacterial counts than rivals, according to consumer complaints from tests conducted in January. Some samples even included listeria. It was obvious that being triple-washed was merely a marketing gimmick. Walmart isn't the only company in this situation, to be fair. In order to supply millions of inexpensive $2 bags throughout the year, agreements must be made with large farms that put speed before safety. Perhaps the executives aren't bad guys. They are caught up in a competition for low cost that we all help to establish. There are better options. Organic and earthbound farms at Taylor and Kroger Farms. Aldi's organic baby kale is safer. Another option is to purchase fresh spinach from farmers markets, properly wash it in vinegar water, and then freeze pieces. Because if even spinach is thus dangerous, what else are we naively putting our faith in because it looks nice? Great value ground beef comes in at number 6. As the foundation of family dinners, ground beef should feel secure and even reassuring. Walmart offers excellent value. With its all-American marketing and quality guarantee, ground beef is a great way to sell that trust. Serving meatloaf or burgers from a cheap packet feels like doing the right thing for working-class families. But as soon as you discover the true meaning behind the title, that sense of security quickly disintegrates. After finding E, the USDA issued a Class 1 recall, which carries the highest danger level in April 2025. Walmart ground beef containing more than 70,000 pounds of E. coli O157:H7. The CDC reported 2 renal failure cases and 58 hospitalizations by May. I was proud to grill for my family, a retiree from Michigan told USA Today. I was serving poison without realizing it. This was no coincidence. It was expected. According to Reuters, since late 2024, a major Kansas supplier has consistently failed sanitary assessments due to recurring fecal contamination and dirty grinding machinery. Employees acknowledged feeling under pressure to overlook obvious contamination in order to fulfill Walmart's strict deadlines. One bluntly stated, "We would never ship on time if we stopped every time we saw fecal matter. Nor is the product itself what you believe." According to consumer complaints, there was a lot of lean, finely textured beef and pink slime that had been ammonia treated to eradicate microorganisms. Even though it was outlawed in Europe years ago, it still finds its way into inexpensive meat. Although you are working with leftovers that have been spun by chemicals, you may believe that you are shaping pure beef patties. Another unpleasant element was added by Human Rights Watch, which documented abuse, chemical burns, and injuries among Walmart's cattle plant employees. "We're treated worse than the cows," one employee remarked sourly. Walmart is enmeshed in a system that is fixated on cheap meat, but does it justify the sale of life-threatening food? Better choices? The simply nature. Organic ground beef from Aldi passed the test with no pink slime or E. coli. If at all possible, grind your own meat from a fresh roast to significantly reduce the danger of infection. The true question is, when did it become worthwhile to risk our health and the people who produce our food in order to save a few dollars? Number 7. Excellent value ice cream sandwiches. On a hot day, an ice cream sandwich should seem like a harmless happiness, a little sweet respite. That image is sold by Walmart's great value ice cream sandwiches, a healthy, creamy treat that costs less than $3 a box. It feels like bliss you may purchase guilt-free for grandparents sneaking goodies to their grandchildren or for anyone in need of a little solace. However, when sweetness is this inexpensive, the true cost is concealed. Walmart sandwiches were listed as having the most chemical additives in their category by the Environmental Defense Fund in March 2025. Propylene glycol, carrageenan, and polysorbate 80 were discovered in lab testing to be associated with intestinal inflammation and reproductive hazards. Propylene glycol levels were later verified by Consumer Reports to be almost 30% higher than the EU's approved limit. You're not going to bite into sugar and milk. You're chewing a dessert-shaped industrial formula, nor is the milk itself innocent. In a February investigation, NBC linked Walmart's dairy suppliers to factory farms, where cows, some with untreated wounds, were confined in small stalls. Employees acknowledged giving them RBGH injections, which are prohibited in Canada and Europe, due to their ability to increase the quantities of antibiotics and PUAs in milk. One employee put it this way, "The milk continues to flow. Walmart continues to purchase." What about the factories? Recurrent bug infestations and temperature control issues were reported by the New York Times. Some batches were left at dangerous temperatures for 24 hours before being frozen. Simply put, if you believe freezer burn is awful, you don't want to know what grew before it was packaged, according to a former quality inspector. This may not be something Walmart is proud of. It is stuck in a competitive market where families are kept fed by inexpensive pleasures. Does that, however, lessen the discomfort of each bite? There are better possibilities. Delectable coconut milk sandwiches are frequently on sale at Target, and Aldi's Sunday Store organic sandwiches use milk that is sourced humanely, or create your own. Between cookies is real ice cream, easy, hygienic, and secure. Because if even a dessert from childhood can conceal this much, what else are we accepting without questioning the true cost? Great Bargain canned tuna comes in at number 8. The safest item in your pantry should be a can of tuna, easy, healthful, and trustworthy. This confidence is the foundation of Walmart's excellent value canned tuna, which boasts dolphin safe and wild caught on the label like a guarantee you don't have to doubt. Stretching meals seems like a wise decision for older Americans. Protein that is good for your heart for only a few dollars. However, if you open that top, you may discover more than just tuna. It serves as a sobering reminder of how expensive inexpensive food may be. In May 2025, Oceana disclosed that almost 1 out of every 4 Walmart tuna cans contained less expensive species like escalar, also referred to as the X-lax fish, due to its harsh digestive effects. Mercury levels in some samples were later confirmed by Consumer Reports to be almost twice the FDA's recommended limit for seniors. "I thought I was eating for my heart," remarked a retiree from Florida. "Instead, I experienced cramps for 2 weeks and heart palpitations. The human cost is as horrific." Walmart's Thai suppliers were implicated by the Associated Press in forced labor, where workers were thrashed when they fell ill and kept confined on fishing boats for months. "We captured our own suffering in addition to the fish. Even the dolphin safe claim falters," according to one former deckhand. Audits by the Earth Island Institute revealed that Walmart vendors were using bycatch to harm protected species. The canning procedure comes next. In February, the FDA reported that a California plant had rusting equipment and inadequate sterilization, increasing the risk of botulism. "We brushed off rust and continued packing," a former supervisor told the Washington Post. Reach Walmart's target. Indeed, Walmart functions within a worldwide economy that is strained by both great demand and cheap pricing. But does that justify selling fish that are mislabeled and contaminated with toxins? There are safer alternatives. Safe Catch Elite and Wild Planet albacore source responsibly and do mercury testing. Or completely avoid tuna. Each serving of Aldi's frozen wild salmon costs almost the same. Because what else are we consuming without considering the true costs if even tuna, the icon of healthy food, has been contaminated to this extent? The 9th. Excellent peanut butter value. It is said that peanut butter is the safest comfort food, easy, smooth, and dependable for many generations. This trust is the foundation of Walmart's Great Value Peanut Butter, which offers premium roasted peanuts at a cost that anyone can afford. It is a pantry hero to older Americans on a limited budget. However, when the FDA recalled Great Value Creamy and Crunchy Peanut Butter due to Salmonella umbondica contamination in April 2025, that confidence was betrayed. Nearly half of the 62 hospitalizations in 9 states by May, according to the CDC, involved seniors. "I grew up on peanut butter sandwiches," remarked a woman from Ohio. "I now have to think of 4 needles whenever I see a jar. It wasn't a random contamination." Walmart's Arkansas facility failed several sanitation inspections, according to ProPublica, because of rodent droppings, leaky roofs, and roasting machines that couldn't reach safe kill temperatures. Employees acknowledged that they were instructed to continue production in spite of malfunctioning machinery. According to one, "We don't clean enough to keep people safe. We just clean enough to pass inspections." The New York Times increased the risk by linking Walmart's peanuts to improperly stored shipments from drought-stricken Indian farms where there was a known risk of aflatoxin contamination, a mold that causes cancer. According to customer reports, several Great Value samples had higher levels of trace aflatoxins than other brands. Smucker's Natural, or once more, organic peanut butter test cleaner is a safer option for spreads. Or create your own. Roasted peanuts can be frozen for months, put in jars, or blended with a little oil. Because what does it say about how much we're willing to risk for the sake of saving a few pennies when even peanut butter becomes a health risk? 10. Excellent value for frozen mixed vegetables. The safest quick fix for eating healthily is supposed to be frozen vegetables. Pour, cook, and enjoy the process. Walmart's Great Value. Frozen mixed vegetables are a popular choice for senior citizens seeking easy, inexpensive greens because they promise farm-picked freshness and flash-frozen nutrition. However, that assurance was broken in June 2025 when the FDA discovered Listeria monocytogenes and issued a Class 1 recall. The CDC reported 4 fatalities and 36 hospitalizations by July, the majority of which were among the elderly. "I thought I was making healthy soup for my wife," a man from Kansas told reporters. "I chose to sit by her intensive care unit bed instead. This was not misfortune, it was carelessness." According to Reuters, inspectors at a California facility that supplies Walmart discovered rusty pipes dripping onto vegetables, dirty standing water, and broken cooling seals that were disregarded to prevent shipment delays. Vegetables weren't being frozen. One employee acknowledged that we were freezing issues. Furthermore, the danger begins even earlier. Some of Walmart's vegetables were linked by the Guardian US to Chinese farms where unprotected workers sprayed prohibited pesticides. According to Consumer Reports, testing on almost half of the high-quality samples revealed chlorpyrifos residues connected to neurological harm. There are better possibilities. Aldi's Simply Nature peas and organic vegetables from Cascadian Farm received much lower scores. Or freeze fresh veggies in zip bags after blanching them at home. What does it say about the cost we unwittingly pay for convenience if even frozen peas can send someone to the hospital? Don't let the truth end here if this opens your eyes. Sign up now. Tell someone you care about this, and ask yourself, what's really on our plates with us? It gets more difficult for these companies to hide the more voices we have. Since our health and theirs are far more valuable than a cheap meal, we can demand better together. We appreciate you staying with us through the very end. To ensure you don't miss any of our daily updates, please remember to like and subscribe to this video if you enjoy it. Feel free to view some of our most recent and well-liked videos as they appear on your screen. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.